let's dive into the next part. So basically right now, what we've done is we've written basic code into the shell of Python in the terminal. And while, this is all right, it's pretty cool and it works. What you're seeing here is that this is on the memory of the computer. And if we write our operations and our instructions here in the shell, when we close the shell, the instructions are gone and we have to rewrite them again if we wanted, access them or whatever. So what we have to do is we have to make a file or make something that is going to help us to write these stuff in the hard drive of the computer. And that is where coding in Visual Studio Code comes into play. Like an example I can tell you is, what if I wrote all these comments, all this code, and put them in a Word document, and when I save the Word document, it's on my hard drive, and whenever I open it, I can see these instructions, and then I can copy paste them in the terminal and then run them, right? That's basically what we have to do, but except we're going to do it a bit more fancier and a bit more cooler. Let me just close the terminal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open VS Visual Studio Code, right? Visual Studio Code is like Microsoft Word, but it's for coding, so it's like a bit more nerdy and it's cooler. And so if I'm going to go there, I'm going to open a folder. I'm going to just go to desktop. I'm going to make a new folder, call it Python, or we can say essence of programming. I don't know if I wrote that right or not, whatever. And then I'm going to open this file. And then yes, I trust the author, and I'm going to make it full screen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a file that I'm going to put my Python code inside of it. I'm going to say, I'm going to call it test, but we have to show the computer that, hey, this is a list of Python instructions you have to follow. So I'm going to say .py, and py shows that it's Python code. And so here we go. And now I have a place where I can write my Python instruction inside of it, and it's going to do it for me. So here I can say, okay, I want x to be 2, and I want y to be 5. I want to compute x plus y. Okay. Now my program, I have a autosave setting set up so that whenever my code is complete, it just saves it for me, but you have to save it as you go if you don't have this on. So you either have to get this or press Ctrl S every time you finish the code. And then here I have a play button. If I run this, what you can see is it executes it in the terminal and then it finishes. But the problem is that I did this, right? And the computer just executed it, but I didn't tell the computer to return a value in this. And so that's why nothing is shown there. If I want to return a value in a file now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a command called print. And what print does, print bracket whatever I want to print, and what print does is print writes it to the terminal that I'm seeing here at the bottom of my page. And so now if I run it again, don't forget to press save. If I run it again, now you see that it added these two values and it gives me 7. What I can do is I can also make a new variable z is equal to x plus y, and then I can just print the value z, right? If I run it now, you can see it's 7 again. And something else that I can also do is I can even just put something directly inside of it. I can make a quotation mark. I can be like, hello world, world, and it is gonna show hello world in the console, as you can see here. Okay, it's that simple. Everything is so basic. Now I'm going to go a bit more advanced. I'm going to look at an if statement. I'm going to make a variable called age. And so the idea of this code is that I want to see if people are eligible to get driving licenses or not. And I'm going to look at their age. So age is going to be equal to, for example, my age is 18. And so in Canada, if you are bigger than 16, you are allowed to have a driver's license in Ontario at least. And so here's exactly what we're going to do. Like there was a condition here, so right, I said if you're bigger than 16, then you're allowed to get a driver's license. And it's the same thing in code. I'm going to be like, if my age is bigger than 16, remember, this is going to return me true or false. If this is true, or if this condition is false, right? If this condition is true right now, what's going to happen is I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces here. I can put I can put many spaces I want, but like I'm gonna put like 3 for example for now, let's say, and I'm gonna say print, and I'm gonna say you are allowed to drive, right? And so now, because 18 is bigger than 16 and this value here is true, then it prints this for me. So if I run this, you see it says you are allowed to drive, right? But if I was like, let's say 14 years old, because 14 is less than 16, that statement is going to be false. So this is not going to run. And it's going to be like, just nothing's going to be printed in the terminal, basically. Okay? And so the idea here, something that you probably confused, is that why is the print ahead of if? And so the idea is the flow, right? What the Python compiler does is it looks at the first line. It's like, okay, I'm going to execute this. And then it's going to go down in the same level. And it's going to be like, okay, I have an if statement. I'm going to execute this. And then what happens is sometimes you want coding blocks of code to only run under a certain condition or like in a statement or whatever, right? For example, if this was only true, I want this block of code to run. And so what I do is I indent it, I increment it, right? If I don't do anything, and I run it, it's gonna give me an error. Be like, hey, there's an indentation error. We expect an indentation after if statement, right? Because when you write an if statement, you probably want to put a coding block there that's gonna, execute something. It can be one space. One space is enough. It can be 2 spaces. 2 spaces is also enough, and it can be like 5 spaces, 4 spaces, whatever you want, right? What is the best practice? We'll figure that out later. But all we need to know is this has to be different. We're gonna put 3 for now, and so the flow is different here. And so if this was true, it jumps into this flow, completes it, and then comes back to the outer flow and completes the rest, basically. So like if I write something after, if I say print by, now if I run it, you see that it only printed by because age was less than 16. Now if age was 17 and was bigger than 16, and I run it again, you see it was like you are allowed to drive and then by. So like it finishes this coding block and then jumps back into the regular flow and then does the rest of the operations. Okay, perfect. Now, the next time we're gonna look into a bit more standardization, and that's gonna be the last video for the first section of this course. I hope you enjoyed and have a good day.